What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Strangest Minds. I'm Fernando, and today we're going to continue on with reading Reddit. Reading Reddit. Yeah, there you go. We're going to do some ghost stories today. Whether or not they are real, we are going to read them. Here's one 26 minutes ago: sleepwalking or taken. All right. Let's see. Is this all? I okay. Be the first to comment. Well, it was 26 minutes ago, right? Hello. Hello, all. I am creating a new YouTube channel and will be sharing Hmong horror stories from the Hmong community and animating them. Of course, with consent from authors of the story. I just posted my first video. Feel free to check it out. Sleepwalking or taken. So basically, this person is just promoting their stuff. Let's see what's up. Hmong horror reanimated. Okay, you guys, come on. Let's watch it. And if anything, let's show this person some love.
This story takes place a few years ago. I shared a bunk bed with my little brother. I took the bottom bunk, and he took the top. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I saw it. Glowing red eyes in the far window, just staring right at me. What the hell is that? Am I dreaming? I'm not really sure, but I get up to walk to my parents' room. Hey, Mom. Mom, wake up. There's something outside.
Huh? What is it?
I saw something in the window.
What?
I saw something in the window.
Me too. Go ahead, chukuchi na.
Never mind.
Ay, ole chatunu.
And I walked back to bed and laid down like nothing ever happened. This does seem weird. Like, why am I not more freaked out, and how did I just go back to sleep after seeing demon eyes in my bedroom window? Maybe it was a dream. Don't know. But it certainly felt like it. Well, the next morning, I wake up and, of course, I'm curious, so I go looking for my mom. Hey, good morning, Mom. Hey, did I come into your room last night?
Yeah, you came in and just started mumbling, and then you left. I had no idea what you were saying.
Really? That's weird. I thought that was just a dream. Well, sorry about that. But I've never sleptwalked before. I guess there's a first for everything. I just kind of shrug it off, and the day goes on as if nothing ever happened. Night came, and I went through the usual night routine. Hey man, I'm gonna try flights. Oh, shoot, never mind, he's already asleep. It was a bit past my bedtime. Everything was as normal as can be. I wasn't even thinking about the night before. I had already forgotten about it. I said a quick prayer and knocked out. This was all I remembered of that night. I remember getting up and walking out of my room. This doesn't feel like sleepwalking. This feels more like autopilot. That's the best way I can describe it. I walked to the living room and looked around. It felt like someone was in here with me.
All right. Let's I'm gonna let the video finish, but sometimes you need to, put in, the whole YouTube thing and not just show the whole entire thing at once. Uh it's an interesting story. I kind of am questioning how, is this a video game? Did he make all of these like the that it looks like a scary video game, right? But apparently he is using somebody else's story to make these videos. So, is it sleepwalk? There is a phenomenon, right? That the witching hour, 3 o'clock in the morning, is when the spirit has the most energy, the most power to manifest itself and do what it does. I believe that if there is a location that has paranormal activity, entities, spirits, ghosts, it doesn't need a specific time. It will do what it does, regardless. Now, I actually had this conversation yesterday, and I said that I think, at night, especially for us over here in the States, United States, we, in the night, just like how the water rises from the ocean, like at the beaches, um, just like how if you have a stuffy nose throughout the day because you're coming down with something, and for some reason at night it's just at its worst, you can't breathe. Um, so on and so forth. It's just there's something with the atmosphere that changes during those times at night. And I question, does is that what's making, you know paranormal activity more, stronger, or giving the entities more power to do what it does? I've questioned this before, but the fact that at 3 o'clock in the morning, just, that's the only time that paranormal activity happens, that is false. That is false. I could attest to it. I've been to different paranormal locations, and I've investigated in the daytime. I've gotten a lot of evidence, and things do happen at daytime. So that whole three, it only happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what I don't believe. But that doesn't mean that somebody else's story is false. That just means that something is happening to a particular person during that time. Now, let's finish off the story to see how it ends.
I walk into the kitchen and I feel like it wants me to follow it. So I open the door that leads outside. And that's all I remember of that night. The rest, I black out.
It's like a video game, guys. This is pretty cool. I've never seen something done like this.
Now I'm still here, and that's how I'm still telling my story. But the next morning, I wake up and I'm in bed again. Like nothing ever happened. I tell my mom what I guess, dreamt of. And she called the pastor and had them pray for me. But nothing ever happened after that. No strange stories, no more sleepwalking, nothing bad at all. Just those 2 nights in a row, which still completely confuses me to this day. But I still wonder sometimes, what happened? Did I actually go outside? Was it a dream? Or did something take me? If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more Hmong horror stories. And comment if you have a story you want to share and bring to life through animation.
Hey guys, hey, you know what? Mong Horror Reanimated. Sir, you got myself. I'm gonna like yours. I subscribed and also do all you guys. This is the best way. So every time this any content creator drops a video, it'll notify you. It was interesting, guys. It was interesting. I enjoyed it. I will put his information in the description section so you guys could, support the channel because it was interesting. Now, as far as this is concerned, was it paranormal? To me, I have heard so many stories, especially when I got into the Shadow Files, the Shadow File podcast. You guys, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we talk about conspiracies, we talk about everything. And what I'm getting at is it paranormal within the ghouls and goblins? No, ghosts, right? Is it paranormal when it comes to spirits, entities, ghosts? I don't know. To me, it could potentially be, hear me out, an alien abduction. It could potentially be an alien abduction. Now, just let's see how far back we got to go because on our podcast, we actually interviewed uh, an alien abductee. Where she is, Joe Frankie, on the last Barry Fitzgerald. You guys, telling you, we have a lot of guests. We have a lot of cool, awesome. There you go, abductee and the agents. So I would definitely recommend you guys to come check us out here at the Shadowfile podcast. And she's an abductee. He is a former a government agent. And yeah. It's I want to say that that is what that story was all about. Let's see. Let's go back to over here. We're going to continue on with the next one. I lived alone in a haunted apartment for over a year. These are some of my experiences. Let's go. All right. All right, guys. This is going to be a long one. So let's go. Fair warning, this is long as fuck. All right, let's go for it. This is gonna be our first, and if you guys are enjoying ghost stories from Reddit, I will do more of these, and depending on how long is it'll be, then that it'll be the length of the video. I have lived in this apartment for a total of 3 years. For the first year and a half, I had lived there with my ex-husband. My best friend found the apartment for me. Her sister was breaking her lease and was looking for someone to take over it. I was desperate to move out of my husband's mom's house and for us to finally have our own place. And so we decided to take the lease. We divorced about a year and a half later and moved in. Wait, we divorced about 1.5 years after having moved in. Okay, sorry. While my ex lived there, nothing much happened except for one thing neither of us could explain. For context, the layout of the apartment was as followed. It was on a second floor, and as soon as you walked into the apartment, on your right was the kitchen, which was open to the living room. Okay, it's a open floor plan. As you walked past the living room, you'd enter a long hallway which was about 20 feet long. Okay, so it's not an open floor plan. On the left wall, on the left wall of this hallway, there were three doors, two leading to two bedrooms, and the last door on the left was the bathroom. Okay, so the right side is the living room, kitchen, dining area, suppose, right? And on this left side are the rooms and the bathroom. Okay. uh, at the very end of the hallway was a final door that led into the laundry room. Wow, sounds like a pretty nice apartment. Yeah. My ex had a gaming computer situated in the living room. I used the spare bedroom as an art studio and had my own little desk in there with a laptop to watch YouTube while working on projects, etc. Gamers, shout out to my gamers out there, just in case. There's a branch off Stranger's Minds called Gamers Sanctuary. It's where I play just the story, just the campaign of all the games that you guys see on there. So if you guys, it's technically a walkthrough, but it's just the gameplay. My ex taught me proper computer etiquette, and so I always made sure I shut my computer down and didn't just leave it on constantly. My ex had two cats, and anyone who's had a cat knows they love to jump onto surfaces and cause trouble. Yes, they do, which is why I'm not a cat person. And so to avoid this, I always kept my studio door closed when I wasn't in there. One night I remember waking to what sounded like my ex's gaming computer playing some sort of video. I assumed maybe one of the cats had jumped onto his modem and accidentally turned it on. That a cat jumping on a modem won't do nothing except possibly knock out your internet. Um In and out of grogginess, I brushed it off and just drifted back to sleep. However, upon my ex having woken up for work early in the morning, I realized it had been my laptop that had been turned on because I realized he was going into my studio to turn it off. I immediately felt a ping of anxiety go through my chest because I really had no idea how that computer could possibly be on. And on top of that, playing a YouTube video. First of all, you needed to enter a passcode for the computer. Secondly, I know for a fact that I had turned my computer off as I always remembered to. And finally, my studio door had been closed for hours before we headed off to bed. If I had by chance left my laptop on loudly playing YouTube videos, we would have heard it before drifting off to sleep and we would have turned it off then. Uh, I appreciate all the details to your story. Thank you. Let's see what else is happening. So, neither of us could really explain that. And it was pretty strange, but nothing really happened after that. And so we just kind of forgot about it and thought maybe my computer was somehow acting up. However, once we divorced and my ex moved out, this was when things really started to get crazy. My ex took his cats with him, and so it was just me and my dog at the apartment. Just for future context, my dog always slept in the bedroom with me. She never slept out in the living room through the night. I always got the creepy feeling that I was being watched. I never felt 100% at ease while living there alone. I have never smoked cigarettes, and my friend's sister hadn't ever smoked cigarettes there. And the smell of stale old cigarettes would always come and go randomly. So that is interesting. But how old is the house? What kind of are we talking about? Wooden walls? Was it renovated? Was the whole place just knocked down, built? Did I miss something? Because if you have a smoker living there, and I'm talking about prior to your friend living there, um, smell could be fused within even the floorboards, even within the walls, even um, I'm not a construction worker, but even the seal between the walls, sheetrock or whatever you use, within what's the word I'm looking for, you guys? But yeah, yeah, all of that could be, the smell. If there was a smoker living, the smell is infused within the walls. Now, if it's a new apartment and the only person that lived there was your roommate, then that would be interesting because now we are falling into a residual smell coming from something, right? Normally, I would smell it in the laundry room, but sometimes I smell it as soon as I'd walk in the door or in the hallway. I could never explain where the smell was coming from. The hallway in the apartment always felt incredibly creepy. My friend told me that every time she came over there while her sister had lived there, the hallway always gave her the creeps too. But her sister had lived there for 10 years and swears she had never experienced anything there. Huh. So she didn't experience nothing. All right. So now we got some more information. Nobody lived there for well over 10 years, but we still don't have any real history about the place. How old is this place that we're talking about? Did you ask your sister if she ever smelled um, the residual smoke? That would be helpful. About 6 months after the divorce, I started dating my current boyfriend. Sometimes he would spend a couple of nights over at the apartment with me. Huh, yeah, we know what that means. Anyway, because quite frankly, I really didn't like being there alone. Yeah, sure you didn't. No, just playing. All right, let's take it serious, you guys. Okay, and he didn't like the idea of me being there alone. Things had been happening that honestly had me wondering if someone was secretly living in my apartment. You know what? That has happened. Not apartments. I haven't seen it happen in an apartment, but I have seen videos where there was somebody living in the attic of a house and the residents had to put video cameras just to see what's going on because things weren't normal. And they call somebody coming down from a hole in a wall and all this and that. It was crazy video. If I find it, I'll put it up again. Um Okay. Things had been happening that honestly had me wondering if someone was secretly living. Okay, I lived in a really bad area and there were a lot of homeless people around. So maybe one had snuck in. I didn't really have any other explanation. I hear things rattling around in the kitchen at night while laying in bed. Okay. The most terrifying thing that happened was the most terrifying thing that happened while I was in bed alone. I have a Great Dane, great dogs, and she sleeps on her own futon bed, which sat at the foot of my bed. She is super laid back, and when she's asleep, she's out. Nothing's waking her up, especially in the middle of the night while we're both asleep. While on this specific night, I woke up to her growling at something. She never does this just randomly in the middle of the night. It was about 2 a.m. She was looking directly into the hallway and she was super alert, sitting up and baring her teeth. I've literally never seen her do that before. That alone scared me. So I shushed her so I could try to listen. And when she was quiet, I heard the creaking and shuffling of footsteps coming down the hallway from the living room towards my door. I was absolutely shaken with fear. I was fully believing that someone was in my apartment. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I was so terrified. I slowly climbed out of bed and grabbed my pistol, which was under my bed. Guys, this is a keeper. This is a keeper right here. An independent woman that knows how to defend themselves. You know, I often think that men are intimidated by independent women. Ah, that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad to me, frankly. Yeah, for me, this might go, rub people the wrong way, but it takes a real man to be with a real woman. That's my thing. All right. Grabbed my pistol. I listened to a little more and heard the footsteps proceeding closer, and my dog continued growling. I walked towards my doorway. The door was open, and I hate to say that I fully expected to see someone in my hallway. The person who I suspected had been living in my apartment secretly for months. But I turned around my doorway. There was absolutely nothing. I was relieved for a minute, but then it hit me to check the rest of my apartment. After finding nothing, I made sure all of my windows and front doors was locked. They all already were. I think goes without saying. Had quite a lot of trouble sleeping the rest of the night. Yeah, for sure. My boyfriend didn't experience near as much as I did, but he believes in me and has had some experiences of his own, randomly waking up in an absolute panic in the middle of the night for no reason, with the feeling of absolute dread, like something is in the room with you. It all came full circle when one night I heard this what sounded like the silverware drawer opening suddenly and then slamming shut while in bed with my boyfriend. I didn't even get up to check and see what it was. At this point, we were really just trying to ignore everything. Okay, so my question here would be, wait, she already explained that her friend's sister lived there for 10 years and she didn't experience anything. So we need to question the sister, her roommate, I think, right? We need to question her and also throw out there, or maybe she might even say, let's finish the rest of the story because it seems like something is attached to her, or something started because of her or the other friend living in the apartment. Had to happen to one or the other. So they something happened. Okay, so however, that morning I was going down the first floor to get my mail. I lived above a restaurant and I was friendly with the owner, but we never really spoke much. Oh, we're gonna get some information right now, guys. If you live on top of a business and the business has been around long, you're gonna get the scoop. That's for sure. I happened to run into him and we started small talk and I told him I was moving. He said, "Wow, really?" And then he asked if I ever experienced anything while living there. Why would he ask that? Right? um, at first, I thought he meant just with people in the alley harassing me. And I said, "Well, sure. People go through my trash sometimes." And he stopped me and said, "No, I mean things you can't explain happening in the apartment." And my face went white. And I told him, as a matter of fact, yes. And I asked why he was wondering. He told me that he had customers and employees who had experienced things and that they had seen apparitions in the restaurant. Oh. So that's where it might be coming from. Somebody, the restaurant might have history, and the whole building is just the location. Huh. He said he had experienced in things like cans of food flying off the shelves and just the really heavy, eerie feeling of being watched. He also told me that apparently the tenant who had previously lived in the apartment, which was in the same building as mine in the front, had mentioned to him that he had used a Ouija board. Boom. He had used a Ouija board in his apartment once. And that's all it takes, guys. Just like if you want to have fun with a female, it just takes that one time for you to change your whole life. The owner of the restaurant had a self proclaimed medium come to get a reading of the building. She said she felt energy vortexes. Vortexes. You guys know what that means? That means there are portals within the location. So that just tells me one thing: there is history already on the grounds of this building. Somebody tried to contact using the Ouija board. Somebody's probably doing some other stuff, people doing things that they shouldn't be dabbling with, and it's creating pockets within this building. Jesus, I would love to know where this place is located. He also told me that apparently a tenant who had previously, okay, it was the same building mentioned in Ouija board. Okay, she said vortexes in its basements. I don't know what that means, but to be honest, hearing all of that was a lot because I had spent so long just trying to shrug off everything that had been happening and just ignore it all. But hearing this made me realize maybe it wasn't all just in my head. The last thing I remember experiencing was one night when my boyfriend and I were getting ready for bed. I was already in bed and he was brushing his teeth in the bathroom down the hall. My dog was coming into the room to get onto her bed, and I said goodnight to her. My boyfriend came into the bed and asked, "Who were you talking to?" I told him I had just said goodnight to the dog. He said he was asking because he thought I was on the phone because he heard good night said out loud twice. I told him I only said it once. Thankfully, I moved out shortly after. Wow. This was a great story, you guys. You know what? I'm going to make it a thing to do ghost stories from Reddit. Haha, that's a good title for it. Ghost stories from Reddit. Um, I enjoyed your stories. Great stories. You guys are braver than me any day. This gave me goosebumps big time. Great job describing. Guys, it is all positive outtakes of the stories that we just read. Well, on the plus side, it was never malicious and kind of friendly, actually. Having the courtesy to respond to you with well wishes. Good night. It was a fun read. Thanks. You know what? That is what I got the feel of reading this whole entire thing. Nothing physically bad happened to her. Nothing, bad happened to her at all. It's like what the quote that I put in the beginning of my video, the paranormal explorers, people fear what they don't understand. And it just seems like there is an entity in the place, just doing its thing, right? For example, there's a movie out there called it's an old movie called The Others with Nicole Kidman, and it kind of sees the aspects of the spirit, right? People moved in, but there were spirits there. So the spirits were um experiencing paranormal activity because they couldn't see the physical world because they were in the spiritual world. So both sides were experiencing paranormal activity, not knowing what's going on. And that is a crazy aspect if you think about it. We are probably freaking out the spirit world. Could you imagine? This is why, the theory of when there is renovations going on, that it just seems that it would spike activity, even from a place that never had reports of paranormal activity. Activity was spiked during renovations. Could you imagine? You just, you're a spirit, but you don't know you're a spirit, just living, just doing your thing, and then you see walls coming down, freaking your the color paint going up. You see things just changing up on you. Yeah, dude, that would be freaking terrifying. So this is one of the things I want to get into also. When just to raise awareness, especially to abandoned locations, because that's what I do. Um, Respect the location, respect the dead, just respect. It takes a little bit of just being nice to brighten somebody else's day, you guys. So, with that being said, I'm gonna leave it right here. If you guys are enjoying ghost stories from Reddit, please do what you do when you like a channel. Hit that like, share, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys on the next. Peace.